Good morning, and you are listening to CMajor's Sunday morning service. It's about 9:30 in the morning on March 22nd, 2020, and we're bringing you something that we've never done before. It's a Sunday morning service where I include a couple of songs that I've done all my life, really, in the community where I grew up, and to do a song that you may have heard me record, and then we'll go on to something else. But it's an opportunity to share with you. We all are in a very difficult, challenging moment in our history in this country, and I really don't know what to say at this point except that we are with you. So the CMajor team wanted to do something special for you on Sunday morning as you are staying home, as we all are staying where we're staying, and that's it. So I'm going to say a little bit more, but I wanted to start off the morning with a song that I've played all my life. It happens to be in the key of A flat, and I will say a little bit more about that after I've played it, but it's called Leaning on the Everlasting Arms. I was leaning on the everlasting arms in the key of A flat, and welcome again to CMajor's Sunday morning service. It's a pleasure to be with you on this Sunday, March 22nd, 2020, and you are welcome. I hope to do more of these as we go on because we don't know how long we're going to be staying at home because of the coronavirus, and the whole world right now is just trying to figure out what to do with their time. So if you're having a little bit of cabin fever and you happen to be staying home, you're welcome to listen to the podcast. We podcast live on Saturday mornings, and today is a different day. It's Sunday. I've never podcasted on a Sunday that I can recall. And so I'm pre-recording this, but I'm doing it in real time. So it is about 9:30 in the morning, not quite 9:45 yet, but we're up early enough to share with you some music. So you are welcome. If it's your first time listening to the podcast, what we do here is talk about piano lessons. We give shout outs to students. We try to say positive things to uplift you as you're going through your piano lessons experience. And from time to time, we may sound a little more guided. I'm choosing my words carefully in our speech, and a little bit more historical or a little bit more definitive. We use some strong language sometimes here on the podcast, and it's just because I'm really serious about music making, because it's been my whole entire life. But you are welcome. Welcome. Please feel free to visit the podcast at any time. Feel free to download some of the previous podcasts, and feel free to sign on as a subscriber, as a follower to the podcast, and welcome. The next thing you're going to hear is that I'm going to do a short music reading, and it's taken from our resource that we use. Our go-to resource here on the podcast is the Harvard Concise Dictionary of Music. And so the music reading is about chords. We talk a lot about chords here on the podcast. And so page 97 of the dictionary gives you a solid definition of chord. Here is the reading. Chord, 3 or more tones sounded simultaneously, 2 simultaneous tones usually being designated as an interval. The most basic chords in the system of tonic, dominant, or triadic tonality are the major and minor triads and their inversions. For example, 6 chords and 6/4 chords. Other chords that play an important, though subordinate, role are the 7th chord, the 9th chord, the augmented 6th chord, and the diminished triad, each of which is regarded in this context as dissonant. In works of the 20th century, not based on this system, chords of numerous kinds are used, the concepts of consonance and dissonance being often irrelevant. In discussions of music, the term simultaneity is sometimes preferred to chord, the latter appearing in such compounds as trichord, tetrachord, pentachord, and hexachord for collections of 3, 4, 5, and 6 pitches, respectively, which may or may not be sounded simultaneously. This is our definition for chord, page 97 of the Harvard Concise Dictionary of Music. Now I'm going to ask you to join with me to either hum along to this tune. It's called Glory to His Name in the key of A flat. That was Glory to His Name in the key of A flat. And now we're going to go to a part in the Sunday morning service where I want you to just meditate. And this is also at the same time a social media call. That's what we're calling it today. You're listening to CMajor Sunday morning service. It started at about 9:30 in the morning on March 22nd, 2020. And we're happy to be on this platform here on Spreaker. I'm so glad to be with you. This is not a religious service. Let me say that again. This is not a religious service. It's just a chance for you to tune into our podcast on a Sunday morning. We normally would not have had this podcast episode going because we would have been doing other things, such as playing for an actual service in the community or going to someone who needed lessons, something like that. But I want you to just meditate. And also, when I say social media call, I mean we're calling you to go on to our social media pages, find us on Twitter, CMajorPorter1, find us on Facebook, CMajor Before the Show, find us on WordPress, CMajorPorter.com, find us on Music Glue, musicglue.com/CMajorPorter. Find us on Instagram if you care to. And just be with us. Know that we have you in our thoughts. We have you in our prayers. We are going to continue this piano lessons journey here on a podcast and just see where it takes us. That we're grateful for our listeners and just so glad that you all could tune in the first place to hear what we have to say. But this meditation is really about you. If you've been going through something this week, I really want to just speak from my heart right now and say that I feel what you're going through because we're all going through it together. And I'm just thinking about the own storms that I've had in my life. And there have been a few. I wrote a song called Weathering the Storm, which is what you're going to hear next. And even though I don't feel the pain of that situation as much as I did when I wrote the song when I was in pain. And something good came out of it. And that was the first time I realized the power of music. That music has this healing power, but at the same time it has this intellectual power too. That you can take what you know about chords and sit down and make something out of it. And the melodies just came to me, and I'm grateful to God for that. And you all know what it is when you want to play an instrument or you're doing something at the piano that you've never done before. You really can't take credit for that. I really believe all talent does come from a higher place, and I see that in my students. You know, some of the parents try to say it's the teacher's responsibility to give the student the talent through the lessons, but I really believe that the talent is there, and we are charged with cultivating that talent, developing that, being the facilitator of the talent, taking care of the talent. Be careful not to crush the talent. And so these are all the things that we think about, and some of those experiences that we talk about on the podcast are anecdotal experiences, and some of them are based in research. But we just ask that you meditate with us right now. Take yourself to a place where you may have not been feeling so good about your life, feeling so good about things that were going on, and just meditate on that. And then your goal is to feel better after you've had a chance to reflect. So I'm going to be playing Weathering the Storm while you're doing that, and we'll say a little bit more in a moment. Thank you for being here. Thank you all so much. I really appreciate you being here for C Major's first Sunday morning service, and that was Weathering the Storm. We invite you now to think about taking piano lessons. I know sometimes when I do my shows in the city that after that there seems to be a spike in interest of taking piano lessons just among my friends. They start asking about where they can purchase a piano and which books would be best to start off with, because a lot of my friends used to take piano lessons and didn't quite go as far as they wanted to go. And so I want to just encourage you, if you're thinking about taking piano lessons, one approach may be to start with chords first, and the next may be to start with scales and then, or continue with scales rather, or vice versa. So sometimes my adult students want to start with scales first. They feel like that gives them a warm up, and they have a lot of people in their ears talking about what to do in that regard. But you start how you want to, but we suggest chords, especially if you are an adult student. Chords just seem to be an easier way to learn to play the piano at first, or an approach is something you can do right away. Scales are a little tricky. So it's a little much sometimes to ask someone to start with playing a C major scale, especially if you're going to play it with more than just one finger. But we were talking about a little bit on yesterday's podcast that it's possible, when you're thinking about the music making and wellness aspect of playing, is just to play a scale with one finger. You can get away with that. And especially on a keyboard, the keyboard is not going to know if you're using just one finger. And if it has a recording feature, you can record yourself playing that scale with one finger and then just practice it in your mind and then develop it as you go. So chords, you heard the definition in our music reading, and we're going to be talking about chords across the week. So I want to just try it out this week and see how it goes. What would it feel like to come on every day, Monday through Friday, and give you a piano lesson in chords? What would that look like? Which chord will we start with first? And so tune in tomorrow. I'm not sure what time we're going to post it, but we're going to post some information about chords and speak to you for just a moment, and then step off the microphone, so to speak, and let you get on with your day as you are staying at home. We invite you to take piano lessons. There are a lot of piano lessons going on the internet, but if you need a teacher, we invite you to come right here. We are on mainly on Saturdays right now, Saturdays in the afternoon into the evening. And so each week features a different topic. You can go back to our archives and download some of the things that we've talked about and let us know what you think. And so, having said all of that, thank you again for being here. We're going to depart from the podcast right now. And I just want to say to you, be blessed in your life. Make the best music you can possibly make. Stay home if you are in the greater New York area. Be well, stay healthy, and take care. And with that, I'm going to play you out, and we're going to say goodbye. Until the next time. This is CMajorPorter.